Welcome back students. Today we are going to discuss the next topic, that is data collection in our research series lecture. So this is Dr. Ram Singh. Let's move to this topic. Right. So let's start with that what is data. In fact, what are data? I have written is, and I written intentionally to tell you that it is not is, it basically data refers to are. Why? Because data is the word data is the plural of word datum. So when we talk about data, it is always are, right? So data are observations or evidences about the social world. So whatever the observations, whatever the evidences that we collect from the social world comes under the purview of data, right? And the singular of the data is your datum. Now there is always a confusion between data and information, and most of the time we use both terms interchangeably. But yes, there is a difference between data and information. When we talk about data, so data are facts, event, transaction which have been recorded, and moreover they are in the raw form. They are in the raw form, right? They are the raw form, and once they process, then then they convert it into information. So data after processing converted into information. So it is very important. So data that have been produced in such a way that is useful to the recipient is known as information, right? So it is processed and processed to the form which can be useful for the various recipients, researcher, or the group of people. Then it becomes information. So basically informations जो हैं, informations are basically process form of data, right? So basically informations are the process form of data. So I suppose that the difference between data and information is very much clear to you. Now coming on nature of data. So data can be qualitative data or quantitative data. So in previous lecture we have just give the overview about the qualitative research and quantitative research, and in upcoming lecture we will discuss qualitative research in details with the various techniques of qualitative research, as it involves various kinds of different techniques. While dealing with qualitative data, we have to go for the various techniques which are different from the techniques used for quantitative data. So qualitative data is basically data where the attributes cannot be measured in terms of number. For example, your motivation cannot be measured in terms of number. How much you are motivated, it cannot be measured in terms of number. On the other hand, quantitative data, basically the traits or the characteristics which can be expressed in terms of numbers. For example, height, weight, right? We can express height as 166 centimeter or 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet, right? Similarly, we can express weight either in kg or in pounds, right? We can express. But qualitative data we cannot express in numeric terms, but in quantitative data we can express it in numeric terms. So now qualitative data, what we have already discussed, that it is not measured in numeric term. They can be just categorized, and this type of data normally measured on nominal and ordinal scale. So in upcoming lecture, next lecture, I will discuss the development of measurement scales, right? So over there we will discuss about nominal, ordinal, interval and ratio scale. So please like, share, subscribe my channel so that you can aware when I will upload the video and you can take help from there. So normally qualitative data, what we are talking about, normally qualitative data is basically the data which is collected for getting more insight about a particular phenomena, and it is always cannot be explained in terms of numeric value. So here it can be only categorized, right? For example, male, female, for example, the particular disease is present or not, right? But up to the what extent disease is there, it requires further investigations, right? So qualitative data is measured on nominal or ordinal scales, or it can be also measured by the help of open-ended questions, which is known as by the help of the technique which is known as content analysis. And of course we will discuss all of these techniques in upcoming lectures. Now quantitative data is anything that can be expressed in terms of number or the quantity, which can be quantified, right? For example, level of hemoglobin in the blood, right? Your blood pressure, your weight, which can be measured. So this type of quantitative data is basically taken on interval or ratio scale, measured by the help of interval and ratio scale, which we will discuss in upcoming next lecture. Now, how to collect quantitative data? So basically in today's lecture we have confined our discussion towards the collection of quantitative data only. We will not go for qualitative data, and for that I will discuss in upcoming lectures when we talk about qualitative research and then the techniques of collecting data for qualitative research. We are talking about collecting qualitative data. So when we talk about collecting quantitative data, so we have already discussed that when population is small, it will be feasible for the researcher to get around the entire place and get opinion of every single person, which is known as census. So of course we have already discussed that when the population size is small, it will be more feasible to go for census, to include each and every element of the population. We have discussed in the lecture when we were discussing about sampling techniques, and we were discussing about determination of sample size. So in case of a small population, the data is collected from each and every element of the population. But if the population is large, it is not feasible to collect data because of, we have discussed, because of economic constraints, because of time constraints. In that case, the only practical choice that is with us to collect data from the population and making sample. Now when we talk about variables, it can be continuous variable or discrete variables. Continuous variables refers to the observations which can take any value over a particular range, right? It can be fractional, it can be integral. So right, these are the values which varies from people to people. For example, weight of one person varies with the weight of another person. So of course they are known as continuous variable. And while the discrete variables are those variables which are mutually exclusive. Mutually exclusive, I mean that they are not depending on each other, right? Like gender. So the respondent may be male or female, right? But they are not depending on each other, right? एक अगर मेल है तो उनका दूसरा फीमेल होने से कोई मतलब नहीं है, और कोई जो दूसरा फीमेल है उनका जो अनदर रिस्पोंडेंट जो मेल है उनसे कोई मतलब नहीं है. तो दे आर म्यूचुअली एक्सक्लूसिव. Now coming on data collection. So what is data collection? Data collection is a process of systematic gathering of data for the particular purpose, of course, that whatever the objective of a research, from various sources that has been systematically observed, recorded and organized. And of course it is one of the first step towards our statistical study. So till yet we have defined our objective, we have defined our sampling frame, we have defined our sample size. Yes, but yes, it is for the first time that we are taking first step towards our doing our research, is that is collecting data for that. So basically in practically it is the first step for our research, and there are several ways of collecting data, and choice of procedure usually depend on our objectives, on design, right, or the study, or the availability of time, money and personnel with us for the research. Now these are some of the purpose of data collection. Data collection can be for obtaining information, to keep on record, to make decision about important issues, to pass information to others, and for conducting research. Now data can be classified as primary data and secondary data. So secondary data is basically data which is already available and we are using for our research purpose, for example literature review. So we will discuss secondary data in upcoming lecture on literature review. Over there we will discuss about the secondary data in detail. Here we are discussing about the primary data. Primary data is basically data which is collecting for the first time. Right. So it is the data collected by investigator from personal experimental studies for a specific goal is called primary data, and the data are collected specially for the particular research, and and basically it will be used either with secondary data. It can be used either with the secondary data, or it can be used where the secondary data is not sufficient to provide a complete picture of the problem. So over there we use primary data. And these data should be original, reliable, and should be accurate, and primary data has not been changed or altered by human being, therefore its validity is greater than secondary data. So of course it is collecting for the very first time, and it is not changed, right? कोई report आप लिखते हो, उस report में कुछ changes हो सकते हैं, right? But over here this data is first hand on data, so there is less scope of any kind of alteration by human beings, right? So there are some merits of collecting primary data and demerits. So coming on the merits, so first merit, targeted issues are addressed. Data interpretation is better as compared to secondary data, higher accuracy of data, and it addresses the specific research issue and having the greater control over it. In case of demerits are also there in primary data. They are more costly, time consuming, more number of resources are required, and many times there is inaccurate feedback is there, and it requires lot of skill with labor. Of course it requires the various techniques, it requires the various kind of skills by the researcher to collect the primary data. Now these are some of the techniques for primary data collection. That is, it can be by the help of interview or by the help of schedule, questionnaire survey, focus group, community forums, observation, case studies, key informations, or internet or email. So basically when we talk about focus group or this one case studies, it will be more useful in qualitative research, right? More useful in qualitative research. So, or either it can be collected by the help of internet using Google Forms or email or SMSs, right? Now, the first method that it can be collected by the help of direct personal observation. So data is collected by the investigator personally, and he should be the keen observer over there, and he asks or cross-examine the informants and collects necessary information, and of course the information that is generated from there is original in character. Now this direct personal observation is suitable where the greater accuracy needed, where the field of inquiry is not large, and where confidential data are to be collected, and where sufficient time is available, we go for direct personal observation. Of course this method also have some merits and demerits. Of the data that comes from this personal observation, it is original, true and reliable data, encouraging response because of personal approach and high degree of accuracy is there. But of course it is unsuitable in large area, expensive and time consuming, and it requires the trained investigators, and collection information maybe according to the age of the informant, so there will be chances of biasness over there. Then another method in that oral interview, here the investigator approaches the witness or the third parties who are in touch with the informant, and the imitator interviews the people who are directly or indirectly connected with the problem under the study. Generally this method employed by different inquiry committees and commissions. For example, you can take example of police department. They, in order to get the clues about a particular case, they integrate various people who are related with them, who are related indirectly or directly with the particular case. They police interrogate them, and indirectly they are not taking in the interrogation directly, but in the indirect way, right? So we can have the example of this police department. Then where we use indirect oral interview, so the area of the study is large and direct information cannot be obtained, and generally this system adopted by governments or such kind of studies which are on sensitive issues, right? Where we have to collect the various clues and come to the conclusion, right? So there the indirect oral interview is more suitable. Now another method is mail questionnaire. The questionnaire sent to the respondents and they are the blank spaces for answer, and commit letter also sent and adopted by research workers, private individuals, non-official agency and government. Appropriate in case where informants are spread over a large geographical area. There we send the questionnaire by the help of emails or by the help of postal mails or in the form of Google form we can send them. So merits are there. It is the most economical and most used when the area of the study is large and it saves money and labor and time. But of course, there's a chances of less reliability and accuracy of the data because you make it feel from the respondents who are not in front of you. So how they are interpreting that particular questionnaire or the particular question, and how much they are interested in filling the question. Either they are taking the interest or they are just putting the marks or they are just putting the their responses without reading the question. So there may be the chances of less reliability or the accuracy, and of course it is by time it results into the long delay in receiving questionnaire by filling by the respondents, right? Now data collection through schedule. Again, schedules are basically the same as the questionnaire. The main difference is that schedule is filled by the enumerator who is specially appointed for the purpose. In questionnaire, what we do, we basically send the questionnaires to the respondents. The respondents fill them by themselves. But in schedule, researcher fill it, the questionnaire, and asking the responses from the respondents, but fill it by the researcher or the enumerator of the questionnaire by himself. Right, so here the enumerator goes to respondent, asks them the questions about the questions about the particular research, and in a already order listed and records the responses in the space provided. So already here the enumerator is having the set of questions related to the particular research. The enumerator asks the questions from the respondents, and the respondents let them know about their responses, and enumerator records it. So enumerator must be trained in administrating the schedule. Of course, it requires very important, this is the very important point, that it requires the special training to administer the schedule, right? To make your questions clear to the respondents so that they can respond in the same way what you want to ask to them, right? तो जो आप पूछना चाह रहे हैं वो वही जवाब दें आपको, ये बहुत ज़रूरी है. सो बेसिकली आज के डेट में हम अगर क्वेश्चन और शेड्यूल्स की बात करें तो इन नॉर्मल रिसर्च वी आल्सो यूज शेड्यूल्स, क्योंकि ज़्यादा बेटर होता है कि जब रिस्पोंडेंट खुद रिस्पॉन्स सामने समझा करके उसको रिस्पॉन्सेस को ले रहा होता है तो ऑफकोर्स देयर विल द लेस चांसेस ऑफ एरर, राइट? So nowadays schedule is very much common, but traditionally it is meant for the illiterate person who are not able to respond by themselves, right? But nowadays it is one of the trend to getting your data by the help of schedule, even they respond literate also. But yes, in order to explain them each and every jargon in your questionnaire, यू नो, जैसे आपकी मार्केटिंग की रिसर्च है तो उसमें कई ऐसे टेक्निकल टर्म्स होते हैं, jargons होते हैं जो कि सामने वाला ऐसे नहीं समझ सकता. आप उनको क्वेश्चन भेजेंगे तो वो नहीं समझ पाएगा. सो इन दैट केस ऑफ कोर्स यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन दैम. सो देयर द शेड्यूल इज़ वन ऑफ द इम्पॉर्टेंट डेटा कलेक्शन इंस्ट्रूमेंट. देन अनदर इज सर्वे. सर्वे कैन बी सेंसस सर्वे. It can be continuous survey that can conducted regularly and frequently, or it can be ad hoc survey that conducted at a specific time for a specific purpose. So survey is a detailed study of geographical area to gather data, attitude, impressions, opinions, satisfaction level by polling a section of population. Then merits of survey, again it covers large area, less expensive and information accurate, but of course demerit also there on a small scale survey. Time consuming of course, and information does not penetrate, and researcher must have the good knowledge about the phenomena. So if we collect data on the basis of sample and wish to generalize the result to the situation and context outside the data, so what we had to do, we had to we have to collect the data which is the actual representation of the population. तो हम ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं जब हम सैम्पलिंग टेक्निक्स डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि आप सैम्पलिंग हमने डिस्कस की थी, सैम्पल डिस्कस किया था, हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं कि आपका सैम्पल जो होना चाहिए इट शुड बी द प्रॉपर रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ योर पॉपुलेशन, राइट, प्रॉपर रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा हो आपकी पॉपुलेशन को. और जब हम ऐसा सैम्पल कलेक्ट करते हैं देन व्हाट वी डू, again the question rises that how should be the sample. So a large sample makes it more likely that a sample will be representative of the population. जो जितना बड़ा सैम्पल साइज लेंगे उतना ही ज़्यादा चांसेस है कि एरर कम होगी और जो आपका सैम्पल है उसका जो मीन है इट विल बी क्लोज टू द मीन ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन. इट मीन्स द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ पॉपुलेशन एंड द सैम्पल विल बी more similar. There is less chance of variation in their characteristics. So in the light of this, what we have already discussed that we had to generalize our result, right. हम एक सैम्पल लेते हैं, उस सैम्पल के से जो फाइंडिंग्स आती हैं उनको हम एक पार्टिकुलर पॉपुलेशन पे जनरलाइज कर देते हैं, राइट. कि अगर व्हाट वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कि मान लीजिए अगर हमने 10,000 हमारे पास पॉपुलेशन थी, उनमें से 1,000 का सर्वे किया और जो उससे फाइंडिंग आई उसको हम जनरलाइज कर देते हैं कि यस जो 10,000 की पॉपुलेशन है इट विल हैव शोइंग द सेम काइंड ऑफ द रिजल्ट्स एज द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ 10,000 शो द सेम काइंड रिजल्ट एज अवर सैम्पल. सो जनरलाइजेशन कैन बी डन इन 2 वे. जस्ट अ मिनट. या generalization can be done in 2 ways: effect generalization or theory generalization. So in effect generalization we are interested in applying the finding directly to some population. So whatever the finding we are having, we just try to apply those finding in the whole of the population. So this is also known as action research. And in theory generalization, we are trying to find basic theories which can be applied for variety of real world context. So here whatever the finding we are having, we try to develop the theory and then we try to apply those theory to the real entire world. So this is kind of research refers to the academic research. So again the concept of generalization is very important for various competition like NET, JRF. They have already asked question on this topic, generalization. What do you mean by effect generalization and theory generalization, action research, academic research? So it should be very much clear to you. Then some of the practical considerations that we should take care of while collecting the data. So first is how big a sample can be within constraint of time and resources. कि टाइम और रिसोर्स के कॉन्स्टेंट कितना डेटा हमारे पास होना चाहिए. तो ऑफ कोर्स देयर शुड बी द बैलेंस बिटवीन द रिसर्च कंसिडरेशंस एंड द इंटेंडेड एनालिसिस टेक्निक प्रपोज टू बी यूज्ड बिकॉज मोस्ट क्वांटिटेटिव टेक्निक्स आर बेस्ड ऑन लार्ज सैम्पल थ्योरीज. सो ऑफ कोर्स मैनी टाइम व्हाट हैपन दैट वी शुड यूज सम अदर टेक्निक्स. Intended analysis should be there, can be used because all the quantitative techniques require a large sample size, right. In practical terms, sample size selection is a combination of all these factors mixed with an understanding of what is expected in your field of research. So whatever the factors we have discussed, time consideration, right, then research considerations, right, then the techniques used, all these factors are taken into consideration along with the understanding of what is expected in your area of research. So thank you students, please like, share and subscribe my channel, and in the next lecture series we will discuss about developing the measurement scales. So thank you. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.